For 1,000 years, the most reliable copies of the Bible were hidden away in secluded monasteries, virtually unreachable and unread. The few copies that were accessible were available only in Latin, a language that most of the common people couldn't even understand, much less read. The only knowledge that the people had of the Bible at that time came from what the priests told them that it said. Most people lived in poverty and educational ignorance, while the ruling class lived in outlandish luxury. Freedom was, and had always been, unknown to the average person. But then, in the year 1440 AD, Johannes Gutenberg printed the first book from his new printing press, and that book was the Holy Bible. And the Reformation, a revolution, began. For the first time in history, the common man could now hold and read his own copy of the Bible. Within just 100 years, it is said that the common peasants became more knowledgeable than their lords. These new believers took God at his word. They believed it was possible to govern themselves by the word of God alone, without a king. But they needed a place to put their ideas into practice. But God had kept America hidden from the civilized world for 5,000 years, for just that moment in time. When the Pilgrims landed in America, not much had changed in the last 5,000 years. From the beginning of recorded history, things had been done pretty much the same way, using the same methods and the same tools. The settlers of Plymouth had come in a boat, powered by sails, no larger or more comfortable than those of the ancient Phoenicians. They navigated by the stars. Their tools still consisted of the wooden shovel, an axe, and a hoe, which were not much more improved from those of ancient Egypt or Babylon. They planted and harvested their grain by the same primitive methods, using a wooden plow pulled by oxen. They wore clothes made of thread spun on a wheel, woven by hand. They thought alcohol was a staple food. Their medicines were noxious, sickening concoctions based on superstition rather than upon science. Their transportation was by cart and oxen or horse. Their communication was by handwritten letter, delivered by mule, horseback, or boat. It took months, even years, for a reply. Most of them died young. The average lifespan at that time was only 40 years. But they believed that this new freedom that they had was worth dying for. And in time, the American colonies miraculously broke free from one of the mightiest empires ever and established a government that, for the first time in human history, was based upon the Judeo-Christian principles of the Bible. Soon, 2 whole centuries had passed. By 1976, this great experiment of American biblical morality, coupled with the scriptural ideas of individual freedom, personal responsibility, and biblically based free enterprise economic principles, had produced radical results. Within merely 200 years of its founding, America gave the world the wonderful, awesome, new power resources of harnessed electricity, the internal combustion engine, jet propulsion, even exotic space vehicles, and nuclear energy. Communications were revolutionized, first by the telegraph, and then the telephone, followed by radio and television, then the computer, the internet, and now we even have the iPhone. The whole earth was explored from pole to pole, to the very depths of the sea. Americans even walked on the moon. The average lifespan was doubled. The quality of life was dramatically enhanced in every way, in our homes, and in our food, in textiles, and communications, and transportation. We developed central heating and cooling, surgical miracles, medical cures for age-old diseases, entertainment at the touch of a switch, and instant world news. Affordable and amazingly fast world travel was made possible and accessible to virtually anyone. Literacy skyrocketed as education and libraries full of millions of books were made available to everyone, not just the privileged class. Of course, all of this didn't happen just in America. but it did flow out primarily as a result of the transforming, revolutionary concepts of individual rights and freedoms guaranteed by the governing documents of the United States to its people. In 200 years, the human race had made a 5,000-year leap